Hey Alex Army, and welcome back. For those of you who are new to this channel, I'm Miss Elle, a former pro-dom turned erotica author and BDSM educator specializing in the psychology of power exchange dynamics. And as a response to last week's video, my femdom tips for the shy switch, you ladies broke down my proverbial YouTube and Instagram doors with amazing comments, amazing feedback, but more than anything, questions on how do we specifically step into this sexual empowerment that you were talking about, Miss Elle. So ladies, I heard you, and we're actually expanding last week's video into a 3-part series about sexual empowerment for the aspiring goddess. Step here is to know and embrace your body. And I am not saying this to be trite, so don't even go there, ladies. Oh, just love your body, that's the answer to everything. No, let's break down what I really mean here. Most of what you see in the entertainment media, and most especially anything you've ever seen in porn, is lies, okay? Ladies, the girls that you see, they have undergone what's called labiaplasty surgery. And according to the International Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, labiaplasty surgeries increased by 45% worldwide between the years 2015 and 2016. And if that's not shocking enough, girls as young as 9 years old have asked for this surgery. That's heartbreaking. I literally actually cried when I read that statistic for the first time. That's heart-wrenching to me. Technology and social media and everything being so connected to us. We can connect all the time with whoever we want, wherever we want in the world. We always have connection or the opportunity for connections in our pocket, but with that comes some territory that is causing some really, really chronic problems in the hearts and minds of our friends and our families and our loved ones, and this chronic insecurity to the point that a 9-year-old baby girl would want to have someone take a knife to herself because she feels deformed at 9 years old. That's beyond. But many of you adult women don't actually know what's going on with your body, don't know your body, don't know the difference between a vagina and a vulva, ladies. And you've never actually looked at yourself and celebrated yourself, celebrated your unique beauty. But instead, we're being bombarded with all of these fake images and fake videos and fake standards, and it's gotten into our heads, ladies. So the first step here is absolutely to know your body and then to love it, to embrace it, to surround your body, your sexuality with love and with acceptance. If you haven't already ditched porn, if your partner hasn't already ditched porn, start there. Stop comparing, okay? Comparison is an intimacy and confidence killer, baby. So knock off the comparison, shut down any doors that need to be shut down that will bring in that comparison, and then start really celebrating your own unique beauty. And there are a couple amazing resources that I want to direct you to help with this. And the first one, her name is Betty Dodson. Talk about badass of all badasses. Betty Dodson is an amazing sexuality educator, and this lady knows her stuff. If you want to feel sexually empowered and liberated, my goodness, Betty Dodson is definitely one to follow. Another great one is the Vulva Gallery. I found them on Instagram. They're absolutely amazing. They're all about celebrating body diversity and vulva diversity, bringing back into light the narrative that your body, ladies, as it is, without plastic surgery, is perfect and beautiful, just the way it is. Second tip here, ladies, is to practice receiving. I touched on this a little bit last week about how often women will receive and then make it into a little bit of a performance and exaggerate our moans and our gestures and all that kind of stuff, ladies. So we've got to knock that off. I told you cannot be insecure or codependent as a femdom. So practice receiving. The first way I want you to practice receiving is just sensually have your male submissive partner either give you a hand massage or a foot massage or a back massage, but that is your opportunity to receive, to get out of that massage exactly what you want. If you want more pressure here, then tell him, oh, I really like that. Keep going harder here. If you like, the long stretches across the knuckles, then, oh yeah, I like that. Or go softer here, whatever it is. Same thing with the feet, same thing with the back. Direct your male partner, because that's something that you will have to do as a femdom. That's something that your male partner is looking to you for, is direction and guidance sexually. So you're gonna have to get familiar with receiving and comfortable receiving. And not just familiar and comfortable receiving, but familiar and comfortable guiding and directing how you wish to receive pleasure. And after that, I would also like you to practice receiving sexually. So ideally, you and your male submissive partner get together and he brings you to orgasm without penetrating you. So you can just do oral the whole time. You can do toys if you want. You can have him use his hands, whatever you want, girl. But I don't want his body to penetrate you for this exercise, because I, again, want you to practice receiving without performing. So as he's pleasuring you, say, hey, I want a little bit more pressure here. I want it a little harder here. I want it a little faster. I want it a little slower. However you want, guide, direct. But that's what the purpose of this step is. This stage is to practice receiving as well as practice giving direction. And an optional pro tip here that I would actually really encourage you to do, ladies, is to record yourself, either video or just an audio recording, but record yourself having an orgasm as kind of a reference point to bring yourself back to. If you do start getting codependent in your sexuality, go back to that. Go, no, this is what I look like genuinely when I'm having an orgasm. This is how I moan. This is how I vocalize. This is how my body moves. And so if you find yourself getting back into that performative receiving, you can come back to that video or that audio recording and go, no, this is how I act when I'm truly sexually empowered. Next step, ladies, is to define desires and limits. Now, the limits part of this is pretty common. I mean, we do it all the time in BDSM. We must always have our limits clearly defined so we give our enthusiastic consent. But when you're going into this, you should also know some desires. What do you want out of this, ladies? And what would he enjoy? Now notice I did not say what does he want. No, it's what does he enjoy. You need to know what your male partner would enjoy out of a femdom experience so that if he's a good boy, you can graciously bestow it upon him. But this is about what you want, honey. Just like that's an appeal for you as a submissive if you are a switch. When you get with your dominant, you want him to do whatever he wants to do to you, and you just receive and respond, and it's beautiful. Your male submissive partner is looking for a similar experience from you. So yeah, take into consideration what he would enjoy, but do what you want. And also, ladies, as a little side note to this, when it comes to defining limits and stuff, be aware that your male submissive partner is still an emotional being, okay? There might be some emotional triggers, some past traumas, things like that, that you need to be aware of before you start really degrading or name calling or whatever it is that you plan on doing. So when you're establishing your limits, when you're figuring out what you want and what he would enjoy, also bring up the conversation. Hey, are there any emotional triggers that I need to be aware of? Men have emotions too. And if you have a male submissive partner, he's probably more sensitive than you realize. So just give your male submissive partner the freedom to feel. And if he needs to meet you at a softer level to start out with, that's okay. Point number 4 here is to work in scales. Now, this is a great method that I actually brought with me from my personal training days. Scale of 1 to 10, scale of 1 to 5, scale of 1 to 3, green, yellow, red, whatever it is, scales are a very, very efficient way to gather data quickly. And this is also beneficial if you are in a new situation or with a new partner and they may not be aware of everything they're feeling or experiencing, but they can kind of give you a general idea. That is what we're looking for when I'm talking about working in scales. This will be a very effective method for you to start out with, because reading your submissive's cues, reading their micro expressions, reading their body language, reading the shift in their energy might take some time for you to learn. Depends on your personality and your current level of mindfulness, of energy and micro expressions and all of that. For instance, a former submissive of mine was a very big dude. He was like 6'7", almost 300 pounds, very confident when he was in his normal operating everyday vanilla space. But when he shifted, everything about him shifted. He got very, very quiet. He was not normally very quiet. He would get very quiet. His shoulders would start to round so that he would physically be taking on like a smaller size. But the thing I found most telling about him, and when I really knew I was getting into his head, is his feet would cross. Whenever he would be sitting or laying down, his feet would actually cross over, almost like his shoulders, were kind of rounding and like cowering a little bit. So he would do that with his feet. And that was a cue that I would start to read it, like, oh, I'm getting somewhere. But it may take you a little bit of time to start reading these things. So work in scales to start out with. And finally, ladies, remember this: feedback does not mean failure, all right? We have to talk in BDSM. Communication is key to everything we do. This is not an exception when you are a femdom, ladies. So communication must be paramount when you start to play. And as you get feedback from your male submissive partner, that's okay. They're simply communicating because they trust you with that information. You don't have to get insecure about it. You don't have to get in your head about the feedback, especially when it's feedback that you may not have expected or anticipated. For instance, if you are administering some pain and you perceived it to be at a 7 and you ask your sub scale of 1 to 10 and they say 3, oh my God, I'm such a wimp. I thought I was going harder and now they think I don't know what I'm doing today. You don't have to go down that path. If you think you're handing it out at a 7 and they say it's actually a 3, then you can very easily take that data and use it to your advantage in the scene and go, oh, you want it harder, do you? Beg mistress for it then. Easy. You don't have to get insecure. You don't have to get in your head. Use the data and work it to your advantage. The same thing can be said in the reverse. If you are giving out a sensation at what you perceive to be a level 3, and then your submissive says it's actually a 7 on that 1 to 10 scale, oh my goodness, they haven't called their slow word, they haven't called their safe word, but a 7, I was going way too much, way too hard, way too intense. Oh my gosh. Again, you don't have to go there. You don't have to get in your head or insecure about it. You can actually use it in the scene and go, oh, what a cute little delicate beta. Knowledge is power, ladies. And the more knowledge you have, the more powerful you can be as a femdom. So do not fear feedback. It does not mean failure. So I hope this helped you out, ladies. As always, if you want me to cover anything specifically, expound on anything we talked about today, drop a comment and let me know. And stay tuned, because next week we are wrapping up this 3-part series with the ways that you, as the male submissive, can empower your female dominant.